afternoon and welcome to the New Jersey Lawyers Assistance Program's seminar today. I'm Noreen Brayman, NJLAP's Communications Manager, and I'd like to welcome you to Spiritual Wellbeing. Every year at this time, programs like ours participate in Wellbeing in Law Week with topics to support emotional, intellectual, occupational, physical, spiritual, and social well-being. For those of you who will be looking for CLE credit, there will be 2 code words provided during this session. NJLAP is honored to be presenting these 3 highly qualified speakers. First up is Tiffany Howard, a licensed attorney in Texas for 25 years. She's a former prosecutor, criminal defense attorney, and judicial candidate. She is the founder of Tiffany Howard, LLC. After 14 years of practicing law, Tiffany had a spiritual awakening, set out on a spiritual quest, earned a master's degree in transpersonal psychology, and was an adjunct professor at Sophia University in Palo Alto, California. Now she's an award-winning documentary filmmaker, personal and spiritual growth educator, author, and a girls' physical education teacher for a middle school in Tucson, Arizona. Our second speaker is Dr. Calvin Chatlos, who is an addiction and child and adolescent psychiatrist, professor at Robert Wood Johnson Medical School, and practicing in New Jersey since 1985. For over 40 years, he has been exploring the nature of spiritual experience, developing a method to intentionally promote spiritual awakening with research validation. He recently opened the Center for Spiritual Awakening in Holmdel as a statewide resource for promoting spiritual awareness and transformation. And our third speaker, Janet Werner, is president of You Have My Word, LLC, serving corporate America as a system transformation consultant and executive coach. She attained a Master of Education from the College of New Jersey. One of her clients was the Judiciary of New Jersey. Janet is an executive producer for films Truth on Trial and Calling God to the Witness Stand. Her films support respecting and protecting civil rights for the spiritual and religious side of mental health psychiatric care. So welcome to all our speakers. We feel honored to have them here. And Tiffany, you are up.
Good afternoon. Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Noreen. Welcome, everyone, to this hands-on spiritual experience. I will give you a working definition of spirituality, and then Janet, Calvin, and I will provide you with some tools, practices that will contribute to your quality of life and help you cultivate spiritual well-being and competence in everyday life. This unique experience is intended to help you relieve any stress, anxiety, and heaviness now, today. You don't have to wait until the webinar is over to practice these wellness tools. We want you to experience these tools now so that you will have a sense of how they affect your mind, body, spirit, energy. We want you to have this experience so that you become aware of how these tools work for you. So let's begin your spiritual well-being journey with a short guided meditation. We're going to jump right in. So whatever you're doing, please find a comfortable place to sit in a chair, a couch, or floor, wherever it's comfortable for you. You may close your eyes or keep your eyes open. Remember, the key is to be comfortable. As we do this meditation, please be aware thoughts will arise. And as the thoughts arise, Let the thoughts pass by as if they are passing cars. Listen to the sound of my voice. If you begin to follow your thoughts, remember, come back to your breath. If at any time you feel some resistance to being still, to even participating in this meditation, always come back to your breath. So we will begin by first just getting relaxed. We're going to take some deep breaths and just follow my guidance. Breathe in, hold it, breathe out. Breathe in, hold it, breathe out. Last time, breathing in, hold it, breathing out. Just get relaxed. Know that you are safe here. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to save anyone. You don't have to be strong for others. You don't have to perform. You don't have to have the answers. The only thing required here and now is for you to be still, for you to relax, for you to let go of any stress you may have, any anxiety, any heaviness. Remember, you are safe here. Nothing is expected of you. There are no deadlines in this space. Just relax. Let go. Let's go back to the breath. On the inhale, breathing in calm. On the exhale, breathing out any anxiety. If this is a new experience for you, if meditation is new for you, breathing all of that out. On the inhale, breathing in peace. On the exhale, breathing out any stress you may be holding in the body. On the inhale, breathing in openness, openness to this new experience. On the exhale, breathing out any resistance you may be having to this new experience. Remember to allow the thoughts to pass. You are not those thoughts. You're safe here. Take a moment to take everything in. Before we move on from this meditation, I want you to check in with your body. How does your body feel? This may be the first time you've ever been asked to check in with your body. This may be the first time you've checked in with your body your entire life. Your body is the wisdom keeper. It gives you signals and information. It communicates with you how you're feeling at every moment. So take note now and start practice of checking in with your body. Check in with your mind. Have those thoughts slowed down? What are you thinking? Remember, you are not those thoughts. And here's a tip. If ever there's a time when your mind is busy, going, and you can't stop it because those thoughts will continue to come. We can actually really never stop thinking, but we can have a temporary moment where the mind is searching, so it naturally stops the thoughts. One question to ask is, who am I? If you ask that question, the thoughts will temporarily stop because the mind is searching for an answer. Who am I? So take a deep breath. Move your shoulders around, arms shaking a little bit. Relax. You're safe here. You're safe. So we will move into the question, what is spirituality? And before we do that, I want to bring you back. We've completed the meditation, but I want to ground you. So come back wherever you are. Come back. You may have gone somewhere. Come back to planet Earth. Come back to the United States. Come back to where you are in the United States. Come back to wherever you are, in your home, in your office. If your feet are not on the ground, just sit with your feet planted on the floor, on the ground, grounding, knowing that you are here, right here in this webinar with all of us, and that you are safe. Again, take a moment. So what is spirituality? For me, spirituality is living life from a state of wholeness, connected to all life, both human and non-human, and the Creator, cultivating love, kindness, and compassion, focused on wholeness, personal growth, meaning, purpose, creativity, curiosity, the sacred, the unexplainable, the unseen. In her article, What is Spirituality?, author Louise Delagran stated, spirituality is a broad human experience focus on seeking personal meaning, purpose, and connection to something larger than oneself, such as the universe, nature, or the sacred. It involves nurturing the inner self through values like love, compassion, and mindfulness, often prioritizing personal growth, inner peace, and self-discovery over material concerns. In my transpersonal psychology graduate program, one of my courses, we had to read the textbook. It's one of our textbooks, The Seeker's Guide, Making Your Life a Spiritual Adventure. Author Elizabeth Lesser wrote, "Spirituality is an attitude of fearlessness, a sense of adventure. It is a way of looking boldly at the life we have been given here, now, on earth, as this human being. Who am I? How should I live my life? What happens when I die? Spirituality is nothing more than a brave search for the truth about existence. Nothing more, but nothing less." So as you can see, spirituality is personal and something each of us must define for ourselves. It's not a religion. It's a way of being in the world. So at this time, I turn it over to Calvin, and he will be sharing how spiritual well-being contributes to our quality of life.
Tiffany, thank you. I'm Dr. Calvin Chatlos, and Tiffany just sort of set the stage to have you step out of your everyday work life and sort of
Calvin,
spend some.
This is Noreen.
Yes.
I have to give one of the magic words. I didn't get in between you guys fast enough. So for our CLE, the word is dandelion 97. Again, dandelion 97. Okay, Calvin, thank you.
So we're having magic words. Spirituality, yes, sometimes seems like magic. So Tiffany, I hope, brought you out of your everyday world to sort of ground yourselves and spend time in what we're doing today in looking at spiritual well-being. I want to provide a little more connection with how it may relate to your work directly and your profession. And I have some slides that I want to share. Let me bring this up to the full size and remove my controls. Okay. I'm going to speak on how does spiritual well-being contribute to our quality of life. If we look at a survey of American attorneys, with a measurement of depression, anxiety, and stress, this will sort of give us sort of an idea of what your world may look like. And these three experiences are somewhat different and affect different attorneys. You can see that depression is more likely to affect males, whereas anxiety is more female affected. If you look at the percentage, the majority of attorneys 70 to 80% have none of these characteristics. And even if they do, you can see it's either mild or moderate degree. The age was interesting. The most likely affected are the ages 31 to 40 for depression, the younger ones for anxiety, and again, 31 to 40. And then as you get older, it's even less likely. Years in the field, of course, I think you could see this. New in the field is likely to experience depression, anxiety, and stress, as well as the work setting. For the most part, it looks like solo practice is probably the most vulnerable to these experiences, followed by private practice, followed by nonprofit or government work, followed by profit. And I guess as you get further into your career as a judge in an academic setting, in an administrative setting, you're less likely to experience these, as well as your position may impact this. So the older you are, the more years you've had in the job, the higher the job level, the lowest incidence. Now, spirituality, as Tiffany said, is about relationship, but the relationship within ourselves, without ourselves in terms of relationships with others and the world beyond. It's about a right relationship within, without, and the world beyond. The right relationship, as Tiffany mentioned, is wholeness, connection, and self-expression. Suffering is the experience of being out of balance with the right relationship. So you can see spiritual wellness is self-reflection, connection, meaning, purpose, and balance. Now, I'm going to say a little more. My introduction said I've looked at, studied, and applied spiritual experience. Spiritual experience is a personal experience somewhat different than the larger concept of spirituality socially, so that when we take a large view, spirituality seems to be the key. And it begins with we think, we feel, we act. And one of the key components, there are two main components to spiritual experience, is self-worth. And all of you know, we have sort of a thermostat that keeps our body at 98.6. We literally have wired into us neurobiologically a goodness meter that identifies and drives us toward experiences of self-worth, that is an integrated head, heart, and body experience of self-confidence, self-esteem, self-competence, that only matures about latency, early adolescence. And the second component, major component, is dignity. And this isn't dignity the way it is used all over the world, that dignity as a status, as a noun. Dignity is what we honor, honoring the worth. What do we honor most in the area of thinking is reason. What do we honor most in the area of feeling is compassion. What we honor most in the area of action is courage. And adolescence is designed to empower our dignity with brain changes that lead to abstract thought and reasoning, hormonal changes and body changes that lead to expanded compassion, including sexuality, and social changes moving beyond the family that empower courage. Now, let me say a few things. When injury to self-worth and dignity occurs, and it may happen in early childhood, early adult, career, even later, it causes suffering. Suffering being a broken wholeness, a separation, part of our heart, part of our soul, sort of feels injured, heartbreak, soul crushing. And our usual culturally determined response is to develop a survival identity with compensation and achievement. My self-worth was injured. I'm going to be strong. I'm going to be smart. I'm going to be powerful. At some point, there is an awakening awareness available. This may be a spontaneous spiritual awakening. It may be a trauma, a near-death experience, a serious grief or loss. And it may, for many of you, occur in midlife, a midlife transition. At that point, what Tiffany was saying is we can turn inward. And when we turn inward, we look at where were the injuries? How do we accept who we are, what we went through? We reconnect that part of our heart and our soul that had been cut off. And with that process, there is healing and happiness. How does this happen? It happens because, and with the research in psychedelics, we now have a pretty good understanding of what happens in spiritual experience. It opens first to love. This isn't love like a feeling or love like a commitment, like I love you. This is the agape, unconditional love. It opens to a moral compass truth, not like you lawyers, right or wrong, good or bad, follow the law. But we have an embodied moral compass that feels gut-wrenching when worth and dignity are injured. And finally, it opens to a faith. And this isn't faith like a belief. This is faith like an action, taking that leap across an unknown chasm with no guarantee of what's on the other side, no guarantee we're going to make it, but living like that has a power. We refer to that as unitive love. Now, I've just added this for attorneys. We literally know there appears to be a spiritual core where reason, compassion, and courage strengthen our self-worth. And it looks like it's something called the default mode network. There are connected pieces, 3 parts of the brain. So this is real. And that's why we're trying to bring spiritual awareness more to New Jersey, that it is not, I don't know, how can I say it, woo-woo. It is ineffable. It's hard to put into words because it's a specific quality of experience, connectedness, vitality, wholeness, meaning and purpose. I'm going to add a little description. Spiritual experience and the spiritual core is literally out of awareness. And what happens, we have literally 2 brain processors. So something happens. And the unconscious part of us reacts fast and makes an irrational decision. An 8-year-old that is assaulted for no provocation makes a decision, I'm a failure, I'm worthless, I should be dead. Well, these 2 brain processors aren't well connected, and our human cortex has no awareness the decision was made. The decision continues to control our actions for our life with no awareness. And what we try to do, as I said, is we adapt. We compensate. We may use defense mechanisms, drugs, sex, money, power, beliefs, rituals, almost anything can be used. The healing process is to bring our mind into our hearts and our souls and heal the condition through self-reflection, connection, meaning and purpose, and balance. So I think Janet, our next speaker, one of our next speakers, or maybe Tiffany, will talk more about how do we do this on a daily life? What's the process? And there are some characteristic activities that we find promoted. Some people will have spiritual rituals that are part of their daily life, having to do with turn inward with self-awareness, having self-compassion, forgiveness for what has happened to us, the decisions that we made when we were young that still control us, self-acceptance, that that's not only what got us here, that may still be hurting, it's also what made us strong. It's what made us survive and become greater with our minds, with our caring, with our compassion. Gratitude is the attitude. Gratitude for the opportunity to be in this world, to experience this. hopefully to experience the love that is there, the unitive love that opens up. And as many of you are doing, providing service from that depth of our being. And I believe, so to end my part, spiritual wellness has to do with find meaning in life events, demonstrate our individual purpose, and live a life that reflects your values and beliefs, hoping that, and my wish to attorneys as well as medical professionals, is to look at the opportunity that may have been out of our awareness, may have been hidden by the pressures, the demands, the responsibilities, to open that spiritual core, to get in touch with the deeper parts of our self-compassion, self-awareness, and self-acceptance. So I thank you for the opportunity to share this, and I believe I will turn it back over to Tiffany. Tiffany, thank you so much.
Thank you, Calvin. That was wonderful. So, how do we sustain competence? And when I say competence, being aware, being present, being mindful, not only as lawyers practicing law, but also being competent in the world, engaging with others, engaging with experiences, engaging with presently a topsy-turvy, chaotic environment. And Calvin mentioned it. We go inward. It's always within. If you want to know what you are experiencing within, look at what's showing up and manifesting in the external world. Because the external world reflects the internal. So how do we get back to or return to being mindful, aware, present, going within with the breath? The breath brings us back to center. Whatever you're doing in the courthouse, at home, out in the world, if you're feeling out of balance, shaky, nervous, anxious, stressed, you can always take a moment to return to the breath. So I'm going to share with you something that I do all the time. A little short breathing exercise. We're going to do it now, so you know how it works. I will demonstrate, and then we will do it together. So this exercise is meant to create calmness, clarity of mind, which is required to be in a state of awareness, present, and mindfulness. So we will do we will do this 3 times. On the inhale, there will be a count of 4 with a staggered breathing. On the exhale, another count of 4, staggering your breathing, such as so. I will say, inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's get comfortable. There's nothing else left to do. You're here, right here, now. There's nothing to worry about but being right here in this moment. Let's begin. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Last time. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. And with doing this exercise right now, I want you to not to slow down your breath, not to speed up your breath. Just right now, go back to your normal breathing. Just go back to that rhythm of your own breathing. Know that there isn't a right way or a wrong way. Some people breathe through their nose and out through their mouth. I tend to breathe through my nose and breathe out through my nose. Remember, in any of these practices, these tools, there is no right or wrong. That's the mind. The body has its own wisdom. Go into the body. How does the body feel as you breathing? That's what you check in with, the body. Not the mind, but the body. Okay, one more time. Count of 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Be still. Relax. Go back to your normal breathing. And check in with the body. The body is your compass. Okay. So we're now moving into how to cultivate spiritual well-being in everyday life. And some of the tools I will share: meditation, breathing, you are aware of. We cultivate spiritual well-being in everyday life by being mindful, by being aware, by being present, by going within, so that we are our best versions of ourselves with our families, our friends, our clients, our colleagues, etc., so that we are loving and kind and compassionate with those we engage with. Also, being mindful, aware, present helps us to approach situations and challenges, the practice of the law, from a place of clarity, alertness, reduce stress, from a place of competence. So here are some tools that I personally practice to cultivate mindfulness, awareness, and present in everyday life. Meditation, which we opened with. If you go on YouTube, I did it this morning. I do it most mornings. I find a 3-minute, 5-minute meditation, guided meditation, and I do that. Journaling. I keep a journal right on my nightstand. When I wake up in the morning, in the bed, I just grab my journal and I journal my thoughts to help empty my mind. I've been journaling for 25 years. It's a practice that has helped me maintain mindfulness, awareness, and presence. Walks in nature. Nature is healing. We are nature. We are interconnected with nature. There's countless studies that provide evidence, which we need, evidence to prove that nature heals. Creative expression. In my graduate program at Sophia, in every class, there was creative expression. We would draw, paint, create collages of our feelings and emotions that we wanted to express, but express through art. Movement is another form of expression. Some people may not like journaling or meditation, but there's also movement, just turning on some music without words and just moving to the rhythm of the music to release any stress, negativity, heaviness, anxiety. Golfing. When I was a prosecutor, I noticed that in my office, most of the other prosecutors went to play golf at 3, left me there to do all the court appearances, to make all the court appearances. So I decided I was going to learn golf. Golf is such a meditative practice because to hit the ball beautifully, you have to be in balance. You have to be centered. EFT tapping. EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. It was developed by Gary Craig, but it comes from the umbrella of meridian tapping, which is from the Chinese medical system. It is acupressure using your fingertips to tap on meridian lines at the energetic center where your energy, the energy in your body can be manipulated. And as you tap on these points, you talk about what you're feeling, an experience or situation you're dealing with. So it's acupressure plus emotional therapy. Countless studies that show that EFT tapping relieves or reduces depression, anxiety, stress, physical pain, helps with weight loss, helps with sleeping. I'm a level 2 EFT tapping practitioner. I taught EFT to soldiers in Fort Hood, Texas, to help with PTSD, yoga, of course. So I will end my portion and pass it on to Janet by telling you a quick story about mindfulness, awareness, and presence. When I was a criminal defense attorney, I represented an 18-year-old boy charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. This young man, I said boy, but he was a man in terms of stature and age, 18, he's 6'5", built, muscular, had a mustache and stubble. He and his friend broke into a elderly couple's home, and on the way out, his friend knocked down the elderly woman and she broke her hip. So I went in the courtroom for a couple weeks and studied the judge, his mannerisms, how he ruled. And I noticed that the judge was religious and always talked about morals and values, that he was Christian. And whenever he sentenced defendants to probation, he would order that they read a book about values. So the day of sentencing, knowing that the prosecution was asking for 40 years, I walked in with the Bible. The courtroom was packed. It was so packed, there were people standing outside. My colleagues were laughing at me. They were joking. They were saying, "Tiffany, is that your new legal treatise?" The Bible. I didn't listen to him. When it came time for me to close, I opened the Bible. I read a passage from Corinthians about being a child and speaking as a child, behaving as a child. And when I became a man, I let go of those childish ways. And I applied that passage in the Bible to my client. I told the judge, he may look like a man, but he's a child. He behaved like a child. He has the mind of a child. My client didn't get 40 years. My client got the minimum because an aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, they also had a weapon, sorry, but aggravated assault with a deadly weapon was a first-degree felony, 5 to 99 to life. My client got 5 years because I was aware, I was mindful, I was present. I took the time to study the judge to see how he moved in life, what was important to him. And I used something that resonated with the judge to help my client. Janet, I pass it on to you and your beautiful stop pause.
So, thank you, Tiffany. Let's just see if I'm showing up. I guess I'm showing up on the video. I will start with presenting a one-page visual on stop pause to give us a chance to just absorb everything that was said today. So I'm going to assume everyone can see it. The stop pause, anybody either want to raise their hand? I'm going to just assume we can see it. So, when you see this little video, this visual in the middle in red, everyone across all countries probably know what that means. It means stop. Stop for a minute. And this tool has been used with thousands and thousands of corporate employees across the nation for many years. So I am honored to just bring this all together. Everything Tiffany said, everything Dr. Chatlos said, and everything spiritual well-being for lawyers and judges and everyone involved in the law maybe could use just on a daily basis. We will make it available to print out as you wish. But let's just take a moment and look at all the things that we could do in a stop pause. So what if we were to stop pause, excuse me, right now on everything you heard, and maybe you write a note, maybe you just close your eyes for a minute and say, what really was very valuable to me from Tiffany and Dr. Chatlos? But what if we just stop, pause, and think as we begin our day, as we're driving to work? What if we stop, pause, and breathe in the middle of a client meeting that maybe is getting heated? And before we either try to respond or fix the situation, we just stop, pause, and breathe and let the client have some space, let us have some space. What if we did that? Some of you do. What if we did that? What if we stopped, pause during the workday and just asked a good question? Lawyers know how to ask good questions. So what if we just stopped and asked a good question and didn't try to answer them? So for our spiritual wellness in any day, at home, at work, what if we just took a moment to put a stop sign in front of our mind, our energy, and said, stop, pause, let me choose. How can I choose? If my spouse or partner or friend or neighbor or kids or colleague is coming at me with like some intense energy that would trigger me, what if I could choose not to react? Take a stop, pause, and find a different response. What if I could stop, pause, and remember? Remember a moment when I was at peace in the hustle bustle of the day. Just take a moment to stop, pause, and remember my true essence. What if I could just stop, pause, and reflect? All the pressures of the workday, of clients, of court, of home. Sometimes I would invite my clients to just say, just sit in your car before you walk into work. Just sit in your car for a moment before you walk into your home. What if you just take a moment to reflect? Stop, pause, notice. Noticing is as powerful as just observing. It's not reacting. It's not even responding. To just stop and notice. What do I see going on? What's going on inside of me? And what if I just notice and work on establishing a sense of neutrality in that notice? What if I stop, pause, and focus? Everybody here, I'm sure, has multiple agendas, multiple things pulling at them from home, from work. But if I just stopped and paused and asked, what is the one thing I need to do right now for my client, for my home, for myself? Now, this next one is something that I worked on with massive amounts of clients in corporate America, and it's a language about stop, pause, and check assumptions. Now, I do believe and know that lawyers know how to do that, but using that language, let's just check assumptions here. What are my assumptions? What are your assumptions? That language diffuses emotional energy and gets us into just some simple logic. It's very powerful to diffuse a situation. And then the last one, stop, pause, listen. All of these are so simple, but listening is probably one of the most powerful tools and one of the most least underused in, everyday life. We're so used to wanting to respond and fix and help, but stopping and pausing to listen, not just to the other person in our office or in a home, but listen to our internal reaction and say, all right, what's another option? How might I breathe, stop, pause, and choose a different response? So that's our closing piece on a tool that you can take home, you can print out. Noreen, will be able to provide it for you. And I'm going to hand it back off to Tiffany and Noreen.
Thank you so much, Janet. I have found so many correlations just for myself, including the fact that New Jersey Lawyers Assistance Program has a newsletter named Balance. And I have been struggling with writing an article about why we named it Balance. And I think I got my answers today. So your last word for your CLE is carnation 98. If you have any questions, check our website at www.njlap.org. We have a few other things going on during Wellbeing in Law Week. And you can always email us at info@njlap.org with any of your questions. And if you have questions for our speakers today, I will contact them and get you some answers. They've been wonderfully helpful and generous with their time. So thank you all. We'll see you again. Take care.